People are disappointed with the localization of Umamusume in some areas, like changing chubby or overweight into slow metabolism. Ah yes, I'm not chubby and overweight, I just have slow metabolism. You can read all these criticisms for more details, but I'm not here to talk about what changed. I'm here to talk about the baffling defenses of them. If you have a problem with Uma localization, fine, but it's irrefutable how much of an impact it has at overseas. That just means that it is successful despite of it. Even if it is, that doesn't make the criticisms any less valid. You're just dismissing the criticism by saying, who cares? The game is successful. That's not the point. You look like a fool trying to claim localizers ruined the game when its global launch became a phenomenon. That's called an exaggeration. People do that a lot on the internet. And yes, there are those that think these changes absolutely ruined the game. That's their opinion. Even if you don't agree with them, calling them fools is not exactly an argument. You're just insulting them at that point. And that right there is the common defense against localization critics. Insults and non sequiturs. This isn't me defending bad localizations. Yes, it is actually. Pointing out that the game is still successful regardless is a non sequitur that does not address the main point, which is that some of the localization changes are not very good. It doesn't matter whether the game is successful or not, the criticisms are still valid. You have something deeply wrong with you if you think that the best solution is literal translation. Wow, another insult. You are nuts if you ask for a literal translation. Except no one is asking for that. They're asking for an accurate one, so this is an insult and a straw man. No one would care about the localization when the evidence is sitting right in front of your eyes. This is just you saying, no one cares. You do. If you don't, you won't speak out about this. Since you do care, address these changes. Otherwise, you're just dismissing people's legitimate concerns. Maybe that's why people don't like you. The defense of Uma's localization changes are so ridiculous that even I, as someone who doesn't play the game, know for a fact is absolute nonsense. Watching people actually get mad over this and call me a tourist. Because you are.
Because you are!
Actually, no, you're worse than a tourist. You are a poser, and it is very self-evident in just this next line. It's not censorship. They are literally trying to give the Umas a personality. That implies the Japanese version of the Umas have no personality. Do you realize how disrespectful that is to the game? What kind of fan thinks that the Japanese Umas have no personality? Are you seriously suggesting that the localizers give them personality and not, the actual Japanese writers of the game? I'm so sorry. I want my food to be seasoned and not treat the Umas like sex dolls with zero personality. Wow. This person is suggesting that without the localization, the Umas are sex dolls with zero personality. They call you a tourist for a reason, and you are worse than a tourist. You are a poser. I want you to think about how insulting these words are and how that really doesn't make you a fan at all. Uma's localization changes led to plenty of backlash and ridiculous defenders. I know a lot of people who love her global version, which wouldn't love her if they only knew her by Japanese standard. That makes no freaking sense. Are the character changes between the global and the Japanese version so drastic that you would love the former and hate the latter? I went through all the changes in the localization and none of them suggest a major personality change. I love when every character sounds exactly the same regardless of personality. You just implied that the literal Japanese translation has the characters sound the same regardless of personality. You are giving localizers way too much credit. All they did is to translate the game. They don't suddenly give the Umas personality, especially one that's different to the Japanese version. I don't see any evidence that they are radically different. To suggest that they all sound the same before the localization is an insult to the Japanese version of the game. And you do not deserve to call yourself a fan. Neither do I. I never played the game, but I saw clips of the game on YouTube, and I'm not convinced that the characters between the localized and unlocalized version are so radically different that you'd hate one but love the other. How can I, as an actual tourist, treat this game and its characters with more respect than you are? Uma is not the only gacha that got the social media outrage this week. We have plenty more. This player asked a rather interesting question for a gacha game. Do you need to bust a nut every time you enter the game? No, but it helps to sell the game. For context, they're talking about Nikke, a game that is filled with fan service from the developers of Stellar Blade, so it's not surprising that the characters are made to be hot. But not this time, apparently. This was also in response to a guy who is disappointed that while this artwork is sick, it's not fan service. That's a valid complaint, but personally, I just move on rather than getting really salty. Not every character needs to have their tits and ass out. Wow, shout all that out. Yes, not every character needs to have their tits and ass out, but plenty of people like it when they do. And you really don't want to complain about that in a game that contains quite a lot of that. You have over 100 characters who are fan service, and you're complaining about one who isn't. Wait, if that's the reality that you presented, that begs the question, why is that specific character not sexualized if the rest of them are? Just go to Rule 34 at this point? No, you do not tell the players of Nikke to just go to Rule 34. It's a game with some fan service, not full-blown 18+ content. They serve entirely different purposes. Gacha is insanely addictive to many, and the addiction can lead people to make some absolutely stupid decisions. This person made this insane tweet calling out a streamer Brand Online TV for not providing monetary support of grinding to get a Genshin character. Yes, this person complained publicly that a streamer didn't financially support their gacha addiction. I have never seen a gacha player this terminally addicted. They are so addicted with Genshin that they had to e-beg the random streamers for financial support.
Get your crackhead ass into some rehab.
When you responded the way you did, it made me feel like garbage, and you made it look like I was mentally slow. Because you are.
Because you are.
You are a gambling gacha addict. You should feel like garbage. Your addiction is out of control. You are mentally slow. No one in their right mind would e-beg the way you do, but you did. You could have said it in a nicer way instead of cursing between each one. You have no right to tone police people after you e-begged a streamer to fulfill your gacha addictions. I hope this is a wake-up call for you to realize that you need help. And I hope everyone else watching this unfold can take a valuable lesson out of this insanity. That one was talking about a real-world behavior. Let's go back to talking about fiction once again. People can be really uncomfortable when being faced with fiction to the point where they had to point out the things they're uncomfortable with in social media while making themselves look incredibly ridiculous. Thank God I'm not the only sane person here who thought this was hideously screwed up by both sides. This person is mad at a scene from House of the Dragon where a kid gets killed. Seriously, that's all there is to it. I don't want to spoil or show the clip because I don't have the clip, but I do have a clip for the Jack Marston special. People on this app genuinely make me lose faith in humanity. I don't. Twitter X is just a really narrow window of how real life people behave. Even I don't use Twitter X for words. I use YouTube for words. When I say something, at least you get to listen to it. There are many things that made me lose faith in humanity, but they are definitely not the people on the internet who thinks child death in fiction is fine. If you think killing children is fine under any circumstances, fiction or not, maybe you have to reevaluate your morals and actually stay away from children as far as possible. Oh, wow. Congratulations. You're against children being killed in fiction. Such a moral person you are. I guess you haven't seen the film It, or any works by Stephen King for that matter, or horror films in general. Oh, and video games. I guess you didn't play this niche game The Last of Us, where the game literally opens with child death, or Telltale's The Walking Dead, where people die, including children, and has a way better story than The Last of Us. Anyway, here's Modern Warfare 3 Classic. And that's all for the video today. Here's a cat. Huge thanks to all the wonderful sponsors this week. You're all fantastic. Don't forget to check out my previous videos here. Click the like button, comment, subscribe, join the YouTube membership, leave some tips, just $1 down below. And thanks for watching.